Hi everybody, this is Old Man Minecrafting and thank you for joining for another SlimeFun tutorial. Hopefully we'll learn something together and let's get into it. Okay, so today we're going to be working on making our first real items, the useful items. And one of the things that you're going to want to do right off the bat is get energy going. So we're going to not do energy today, but we're going to prepare for energy. So I'm going to go through a couple little building things, the step-by-step. If you can follow the directions, you're going to be getting into this yourself, but we're going to look at how do we get started. The first energy that we're going to make is a coal generator. I'll go back. So that's under energy and electricity. The coal generator is a pretty simple recipe, but there's a lot of steps that are going to go into it. I've said before that SlimeFun is very grindy, and this is where the grind really gets real. But the biggest thing that you're going to want to do is make sure that you're automating as much as possible. We're going to get into electrical, smelters, and all of the things that we need to do early on. But just to get started, you're going to need to know the basics of how to make the ingots, how to put those things together. So that's what we're going to do today. Okay, so let's take a look at the coal generator. So the coal generator recipe is here, just so that we remember. I'm going to left click on the coal generator. That's going to bring up the recipe. And now I can click through again to get the sub recipes. So the coal generator requires heating coils, 2 of those. Those are things that you're going to use a lot in the early game, and you're going to really want to make sure that when you make some of these, you're making a whole bunch of these. A few stacks at the very least when you get started, just because you don't want to go back and relearn the recipe and go through it. You want to make sure that you make as many of these as you can right off the bat and get going that way. A furnace is just a vanilla recipe. Nickel ingots is something that we're going to use in almost all of these things. So we're going to need to make a bunch of these nickel ingots and an electrical motor. So the electric motor is something that in the early game, the early part where we're starting to electrify everything, you're going to want to use a whole lot of these, or you're going to have to use a whole lot of these. So you're going to want to make as many of these as you can in one go, so that you're not going back, remaking, and repeating yourself like I'm repeating myself. So let's make sure that when we make some of these things, we're going to make as many as we can off the bat, and then we'll have some in reserve, so that the next time we need to make something, we'll have especially the electric motors, the heating coils, and some of the basic ingots. So we've already covered previously how to get iron dust, copper dust, how to get all of those dusts, as well as iron ingots. So we're going to put those together and make a nickel ingot. And the thing that you need to remember is this on the left shows us what tool we use to make the output, which is the nickel ingot. So I need iron dust, iron ingot, and copper dust. And just to repeat myself, they have to be in this order. So it has to be it's these 9 sections. So we're going to use in the upper left iron dust. If you mix them up or put them diagonally, they will not work. So we're going to go to our smeltery, which is a multi-block item. We covered this earlier, which is there has to be fire underneath it. We're going to put things inside of the dispenser, and when we click on this netherite post up here, the netherrack post, then we'll get the desired things that we need. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to take out my copper dust, my iron dust, and my iron ingots. I'm going to put them in. Oh, I can't remember. I think it was this order. And now I'm going to right click up here. Okay, so I did talk about this earlier, but I'm just going to repeat myself. So I made a few of these. I made 5 of these, and then my fire went out. So I need to restart my fire. Restart my fire. This gets really old. I covered in a previous video how to not have to do that, but I just wanted to show you. So we're pretending like this is really, really early game. And there I think I made 3 or 4. So I'm going to go through that. I'm going to make all these nickels. There's no reason to watch that. So I'm going to make a full stack of nickel. Okay, so once you get to the end of your the things that you can make a recipe, it's going to give you this, sorry, I could not recognize the item. So that lets you know that you're done. I'm going to throw this back in the box, and now we're going to look at our recipes again. So looking at our recipe, we made nickel ingots. The coal generator itself requires 3 of those, but then in the sub recipes there are also more of those. So let's look at the heating coil first. So I need a bunch of copper wire, and then I'm going to click on that to show, okay, so I need copper ingots. So in the previous video I showed you how to get copper dust, put that in a furnace to make copper ingots. So this is simple enough. You get 8 copper wire for 3 copper ingots. So that's easy enough. And then we're gonna make an electric motor. So going back to the coal generator, we're looking at, so we need an electric motor here, we need an electric motor here, and we need an electric motor here. So that just gives you an idea of how many electric motors we're gonna need as we go forward. This is like one of the very first things that you're gonna make. Almost everything that requires electricity is gonna require electric motor. So like I said earlier, make as many electric motors as you can right off the bat. So we'll look at that recipe first. So that is copper wire. I just showed you how to make that, simple enough. But then we have an electromagnet. Again, this is another very common component that you're going to want to make as many of as you can. So let's click on that. Now we're going to see we need a cobalt ingot, a nickel ingot, which we just made a stack of, a magnet, and a battery. So just for this part, we need 4 pieces. We need pieces for this. We need 3 of those. So that's what I'm talking about when I say this is very grindy. And the more that you automate, the more that you make things in bulk, the easier this process is going to be and the much less frustrating it will be. Okay, so I'm not going to go through every little piece of the recipe. You're going to have to click through and go through and see what it takes to make everything. The most annoying thing in this recipe is the battery. It requires several different ingots. The lithium dust is something that you get from using your hammer. All of this, more copper ingots. And I guess I should look. This is actually the copper that you get in vanilla Minecraft, so that you can make lightning rods. Okay, so when we get all these things together and we make our electromagnets and we make our copper wire, all of those things, and again, this needs to be made in an enchanted crafting table, not a standard crafting table. Now we're ready to make a simple thing like a coal generator. So when we make our coal generator, right, that's going to be our first step to using power. So that's what we'll do in the next video. I want you to get used to the fact that you're really going to want to make things in bulk. You're going to really want to make sure that when you're collecting resources, you don't collect what you need in that moment, because if you do, you're going to be really frustrated when you need to make more of these simple things. So that's the first step. We're going to put this coal generator together next. And then in the next video, I'll show you how electricity works, and then we can get working on making things. You want to get into the electrification of these things so that it just makes things so much easier. You can make more compact machines and more compact factories. And that's what we're going to do next. So we'll go into our coal generator. We'll build our coal generator, and then we'll put the electricity together, and I'll show you how electricity works. Okay, so I've put these things together, and now we're going to look at a coal generator. So we're going to put our coal generator, and again, enhanced crafting table. So I've made my enhanced crafting table. I'm going to put all of these things in. Whoops. I've already made one, obviously. Electric motor, heating coils, my nickel ingots. Oh, shoot. I forgot my furnace. So in standard vanilla Minecraft, that would throw this off. All of that stuff would go back into my inventory, and I would have to replace this. But one of the cool things about SlimeFun is when you're using your dispenser, all of that stuff stays put. So now that I need to go back and find a furnace, I don't need to go take this into my inventory and then reset it. I can go and just leave this here for now, go get a furnace, and then I'll be ready to put that together. Okay, so I've grabbed a furnace. I'm just going to throw that in here. And just as a reminder, I'm going to right click in the workbench up here, and then my item, when the lag goes away, my item will be here. Okay, so I made a coal generator. That's the basics of making our first real machine that we're going to use frequently. And in the next video, we'll put the coal furnace down, throw some coal in it, start generating some energy, and I'll show you how to set up your electrical system. It's a little wonky, but overall it's pretty simple and straightforward. So in the next video, we'll show you that. If you learned something today, please like and subscribe. I appreciate you coming and watching my SlimeFun video. I hope you're enjoying it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.